I'm really ready. I'm already 47 spin classes in. Welcome to the Peloton spin class. I'm gonna be super fake positive and be guiding you guys through this ride of a lifetime today. Normally we wouldn't keep this gallon here because it's not pretty, but this is real. This is what I do every day for my cardio. Right now I'm going through over a gallon of water. Essentially what I'm telling you is to drink an entire gallon of microplasties. Today we are going to be talking about, I just blew out your eardrums, the difference between lean bulking and shredding, because there are a lot of misconceptions out there, and I'm gonna give you guys some grace because it's not your fault, really. There's been so many different marketing ploys and different expert opinions given that just simply aren't true. So I'm just gonna give you my opinion and what I've found to work for me, and really what differentiates a lean bulk. And I'm saying lean bulk instead of just a dirty bulk. A lean bulk means you're still eating clean, you're just eating in a calorie surplus. Just a dirty bulk just means you're in a surplus and you're eating whatever you want, anything goes. I've done it both ways. When I was younger, I was just a young buck, I could get away with the dirty bulks. I almost had to do them in the beginning. I was such a skinny kid growing up that eating a lot of clean food still wasn't getting me to the point I was putting on enough size, especially at the pace I wanted to do it. And so my first couple times bulking, they definitely were dirty bulks. A lot of ice cream, pizza, and that kind of stuff. Tons and tons of calories, just trying to get myself to gain weight. I remember the first time I stepped on a scale and finally broke 200 pounds. That was a big deal for me. And then as my bulks progressed over the years, the biggest I ever got was 230 pounds. And as I started getting older, pulling the body fat off during those dirty bulks became more and more difficult. So I was like, all right, I gotta figure out how to still do this, but make it easier on myself to be able to pull the body fat off. So I started doing clean bulks, where I was eating all clean food, and that's now what I do. That's now my system. For this shred that I'm on, and I'm actually getting ready to launch a 90-day challenge where for the first time ever, you guys are gonna be able to shred with me. I'm gonna be giving you guys videos of what I'm doing every single day on a private Instagram account. I'll put the link to that in the bio. And we're actually gonna have 2 tiers, and one of the tiers is the VIP, and that will actually enable you to come here in the hangar and work out with me. We'll do a hike, we'll bring a food truck in or some kind of lunch, and we'll spend some time together pushing ourselves, and you're gonna be ready for it. I'm gonna push you through the workout of a lifetime, but you're gonna be ready for it because you just did my workouts with me for 90 days. No fluff, no bullshit. It's gonna be my straight workouts and diet and cardio and mental exercises that I keep myself going and motivated with. And I'm gonna share all of that with you. So let's get into the meat of this. It's really pretty simple. And that's sadly due to all the different marketing employees, a lot of different influencers, fitness gurus, whatever. They've overcomplicated it because they'll figure out ways they can put a spin on it to then market it and differentiate and try to make money off it. No shame, to each their own, but the point of this is just to clarify. So the difference really between a lean bulk and a shred is gonna come down to 2 main things. Is when you're doing a lean bulk, you're already eating clean, so you're just gonna change the amount of food you're having. And then what I've found is instead of like drastically dropping my food, I actually will keep my food, and since it's clean, still pretty high. My calories are still pretty high. But then I'm going to introduce cardio. So my calorie expenditure goes way up. So let's think about it this way, all right? I'm gonna make it simple. Let's say you ate, we're now in a shred. Let's say you ate 2,000 calories of food and you burned 2,500 calories. So simple, quick math, you're in a 500 calorie deficit. Or you ate 4,000 calories of food and burned 4,500 calories. Now that's gonna take a lot more work, but there's a lot more food in you. So for me, you're still in the same 500 calorie deficit, but you're gonna be able to maintain more size because you're still eating more food. And in the years past, I would lose way too much muscle because inevitably when you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose muscle as well. But the way that I can preserve that muscle as much as I can is by keeping that clean food intake high, that protein intake high, and just making myself do the work to burn more calories. And it's allowed me to stay bigger, more muscle mass as I pull the body fat off. Another very popular misconception is that when you're shredding opposed to bulking or lean bulking, that your workouts should drastically change from if you're bulking really low reps to when you're shredding really high reps. And that's actually false as well. You want to still keep your relative rep range, you know, from even if it's from like a 5 to 20 rep range based on whatever you're doing. When you do super low reps with heavy weight, that's going to be building strength. Hypertrophy, which is what builds muscle mass and size and shape, is actually going to be in those 8 to 12, 16 rep ranges. So if you want to build shape and size and strength at the same time, throw some of those heavy 2 to 4 rep ranges in there. But remember, that's your strength reps. Your size reps is with the volume. So when you're shredding, you don't want to just go to, I'm gonna start doing 20, 25 reps of everything with light weight. You could choose to do 20 reps, but the whole key, this is what I wanted to simplify down to, is whatever rep range you choose, you need to use the max weight possible with perfect form. If the form breaks down, check your ego, bring the weight down, and get your form back. So if you're shredding and you're doing more reps, and you're challenging yourself with your weight selection, then doing 8, 12, 16 reps, just like if you were doing when you were bulking, is still gonna be extremely effective. Your calorie expenditure rate's gonna be really high. Now, obviously doing more reps is gonna be more work, so your heart rate's gonna go up and you're gonna be burning calories longer. And what's amazing about resistance training though, is that when your muscles have to work, your body have to work to repair themselves, you're burning calories still even as you're sleeping. So I wake up in the mornings just starving. I can't wait for breakfast. And a lot of people think to shred, you basically have to starve yourself, and that's not true. You can eat plenty. It's sometimes even harder on a shred to eat enough good, clean food to make sure you're staying in the appropriate deficit, because you don't want to start starving yourself. Your metabolism is going to turn on you. You're not going to feel good. You're going to have mental fog. It's not a good, and this is not for a competitor. I'm just talking about the general person who wants to trim up some body fat if you're going on a trip or something like that, or doing a photo shoot or getting married or whatever your motivation may be to pull that body fat off. We want to do it the healthiest way. When I talked about this a little bit, actually I was wearing the same shirt in the last solo one I did about dieting and eating clean and food choices. I talked about how when I first started shredding, I focused on macros and calorie counting, and I filled it up with a bunch of like sugar-free stuff and empty calories. And I got shredded, got ab veins, obliques, all that stuff, but I wasn't healthy. I didn't feel good. And I realized I couldn't do it forever. So I had to figure out a way to accomplish the same result or even better result by maintaining and holding on to more muscle mass, more size, but to do it the healthy way so I could do this for the rest of my life and not be sacrificing health for something I wanted to see in the mirror. I want to prioritize health and still see what I wanted to see in the mirror. That all being said, those are the two things I want you to remember and focus, is that your main differentiation is still eating clean, but it's just how much you're eating. So you need to be able to establish your calorie burn rate. And you can use, an app or something like that. It's kind of tough. I don't really believe they track very well when it comes to resistance training. They're great for cardio. But then figure out your food intake by tracking it. If you do this long enough, you can start to do it intuitively. That's where I am. I'm thankful to be there. And then if I'm not necessarily seeing exactly the result that I'm wanting to, then I gotta check my ego and say, it doesn't matter, you've been doing this for 10, 15 years. You start counting again if you want a specific result. But simplify it to, I'm gonna eat clean no matter what, but it's just gonna change how much I'm having. And then for your workouts, you're still doing the same style of workouts. You might not go quite as heavy as far as like going to super low rep ranges, especially if you're deep into a cut and you're really depleted. You need to be smart about it, and don't be a robot. Sometimes you go into the gym and you know what I mean. Like, let's say just use bench press as an example, or a squat, and you go into that rep, and on some days it just clicks, it just flows, it feels great, and you're like, it's gonna be one of those days, baby, we're gonna move some weight. And then there's other days, and as you get older, they come a little bit more often, where you feel a little rusty. You feel like it's gonna be one of those days where if I do go heavy, I'm not gonna be very confident in it, and you start to feel like that risk factor goes up. You can still push it on those days, but back off the weight and do more reps. The whole point is making the muscle have to adapt. So whether it's using more weight or you're using weight that really challenges you for high rep ranges, the point is the body's telling itself, we've got to get stronger, we've got to build muscle in order to be able to do this next time. So if you're eating the right food, the right fuel, and you're doing the right exercises and pushing yourself, and you're doing the cardio, you're gonna get results. So when it comes to cardio, there's a lot of choices. One that I actually really suggest is doing stuff outside if you can. I'm kind of a weirdo. Even when it gets hot here in Arizona, 100, 115 degrees, I still like to do my cardio outside. I just love being outside. And plus with the heat, I burn more calories. Not necessarily safe. I get a lot of DMs about that, but I appreciate you, but I'll be just fine. I drink a gallon, that brings up the water intake. I'm about a gallon to gallon and a half, sometimes up to 2 gallons a day. A lot of people think, I'm drinking a lot of water, I'm gonna get bloated. Drinking a lot of water flushes your system and helps you not be bloated. So back to the cardio forms. If you can get outside, do it. I love the resistance bike because I can still stimulate my legs, and by turning the resistance up, I can do interval training where I'll bring my tempo up and the resistance up, and then I'll bring it back down and back off, and that's really good for my heart. A lot of people ask, should I still be doing cardio during a lean bulk? From a cardiovascular standpoint from a cardiovascular health standpoint for your heart, it could still make sense for you. You're just gonna have to realize that if you burn calories doing cardio, you're gonna have to eat that much more to compensate to be in a surplus for a bulk. But the bike is great because it's no impact. You're not running, it's not hard on your joints. Swimming's the best. And I got humbled by that real quick. I tried to mix that into my cardio routine. A few years back, I went to a local gym that had an outdoor pool. I was like, I'm gonna get sun and I'm gonna get shredded by doing my cardio at the same time. I'm watching all these old folks with their swim caps just going back and forth. Just like a racehorse in a groove, baby. They're just back and forth and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I get down to the other end and I had to stand up and take a moment because I was not gonna be able to swim back. I was dizzy, it kicked my ass. But it's amazing because it still builds muscles. You talk about swimmer shoulders, it helps build your shoulders, and there's zero impact on your body, so that's a great one. If you are a runner, no shame, go do your thing. You're a runner, you know what you're doing, you know the impacts it has, you love it, do your thing. That's not my thing. Elliptical machines are great. There's no impact. But the bottom line, I guess what I'm saying, is you need to just find what you can get yourself to consistently do. Keyword there, consistently. Because as part of the shred, me and this bike, we get to be real good friends. If we brought the bike down here, normally it's up at the top of the stairs over there above the fans where it's the hottest. This just looks prettier behind me. There is a nice grouping of spider webs up there, and those are my friends. I spent a lot of time up there, and we're getting to know each other real well. So between this bike seat up my ass, and it will chafe. It's gonna chafe. And those spiders up there, I'm not alone in this. This is a team effort, and I wanna give credit where credit's due. I have no idea what I was talking about. But yeah, so those are the basics. You gotta do cardio consistently. You need to eat clean and stay in a deficit. You need to challenge yourself. Do not just go do high rep ranges and it's not hard. Just because you're sweating doesn't mean it's hard. You can be sweating, sitting there eating because it's hot. Like, you need to challenge yourself with the weight you're choosing. That is so important. Like, I've seen some people say, I'm shredding, and they'll go pick up really light weight and they'll do like 20 of them and it wasn't hard for them, but they get a little bead of sweat on them and they're like, we're good to go, baby, we're gonna get shredded. Unless you're really genetically gifted, that's probably not gonna work. You're going to have to pick the weight for those rep ranges that's really going to challenge you and force your body to adapt. So I've got another 20-ish minutes. I can't give you specific times. I wish I could tell you, like I was sitting across the table from each of you, exactly what you need to do. But I do have a solution for you. I'm starting a 90-day shred and entries are still open. So check that out and then I'll tell you exactly what to do. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next one.
What's the setting on that right now?
Low. It's not high. It's not high. It's not high, I can tell you that, pal.